Hello, welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel if this is a return visit. Thank you very much for your support. It makes it all worthwhile, and please like the video. If you like it, it just helps people to find the videos and get as much out of them as they can. This is about prepared graphics and how I got the best. These are my settings. They may or may not work for you, but after a lot of trial and error, these are what I've set mine up for. I've got a 490 graphics card, so you may need to tweak yours a little bit back. But these seem very stable to me, and hopefully they will be helpful. As we go into the options and the graphics settings, you can see you can actually save various settings. I've got a few saved here: full screen, VR best, VR final, and all of them you can name them to something you remember, and you can set all of the world, the lighting and the graphics to how you want them to be, and then save them, and then just recall them at one click. Quite a big difference between these settings for me will be how I use some of the texture settings, and also I'll talk later on about HDR lighting and whether I like it or not, and how much value that adds. First off, here's the full screen settings. I tend to keep the advanced atmospherics on. They're quite a high hit, but I think they give a little bit of a real world feel. And also I keep the dynamic streaming on. On the VR settings, so the VR final and the VR best, they're very similar. You can see here the VR final settings. They are both set not to include the HDR graphics and or the dynamic lighting and or the enhanced atmospherics, because they add a big overhead, and that is quite difficult to process when you're using, in my case I'm using a Quest 3. You can tweak them as much as you like, resave them, and then test them. Just make sure you can get stability. You're looking for lack of flickering, and balance that against the fidelity of the textures and the graphics. So there's a big difference with HDR lighting. The system takes a big hit, so that is, for my mind, one good reason to keep it off. And but it can, depending what you want, enhance the visuals. My personal view is I keep it up, but let's have a look. So in the VR best or the VR final, HDR is off. So let's have a look at full screen first. So this is the full screen with the HDR lighting on and high graphics. You can see there's quite good definition, but I think there's quite a lot of glare in this personally, and as I say, it takes quite a big hit. And then with both the VR settings, I have no HDR. That makes it quite a lot flatter, a little bit darker. I personally think in the headset that looks better, but again, this is entirely your personal choice, and you can just experiment and work out what works for you. Hope that was helpful. That's all I've got for you in this video. If you liked it, please like it. Subscribe if you want to be notified when other videos are uploaded. Leave me any comments. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll catch you next time.